Hello and welcome to Delhi Law Firm. Today we are going to discuss a very important and practical legal issue that directly affects women, widows, and families dealing with property and maintenance disputes. This topic is not limited to law books, it is connected to real-life situations faced by many families across India.
Many people believe that if a woman becomes a widow after the death of her father-in-law, then she has no right to claim maintenance from her father-in-law's property. This belief is widespread in society, but a recent decision of the Honorable Supreme Court of India has clearly clarified the legal position.
Today's discussion is based on a 2026 Supreme Court decision where the court explained that any widow of a son is treated as a dependent under the Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act, 1956, even if she becomes a widow after the death of her father-in-law, provided she is unable to maintain herself.
To understand this clearly, let us first look at the background of the case. A man passed away leaving behind sons and family members. Before his death, he had executed a will regarding his property. After his death, one of his sons later passed away and his wife became a widow.
The key legal question that arose was whether this widowed daughter-in-law could claim maintenance from the estate of her deceased father-in-law, even though she became a widow after his death.
Initially, the family court rejected her claim. The reasoning was that on the date of the father-in-law's death, the woman was not a widow because her husband was alive at that time. Therefore, according to the family court, she could not be treated as a dependent.
However, when the matter reached the High Court, this view was not accepted. The High Court held that what matters is her present status as a widow of the son, and not the timing of her husband's death. Accordingly, the High Court held that her application was legally maintainable.
The matter was then placed before the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court examined the provisions of the Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act in detail and explained the true meaning and purpose of the law.
The Supreme Court observed that Section 21 of the Act defines dependents and clearly includes any widow of a son. The law does not say widow of a predeceased son. Therefore, the wording of the statute is clear and unambiguous.
The court emphasized that when the language of a law is clear, courts must apply a literal interpretation. Courts cannot add words that the legislature has deliberately not used.
The Supreme Court made it clear that judges cannot rewrite legislation. If the lawmakers intended to restrict the benefit only to widows of sons who died before the father-in-law, they would have expressly said so in the statute.
Therefore, the court held that the time when the woman becomes a widow is not relevant. What is relevant is that she is the widow of the son and that she is unable to maintain herself from her own resources or from her husband's estate.
The Supreme Court also considered the constitutional aspect of the issue. It explained that creating a distinction between widows based only on the timing of their husband's death would be arbitrary and unreasonable.
This classification would violate Article 14 of the Constitution, which guarantees equality before the law. Two widowed daughters-in-law facing the same financial hardship cannot be treated differently due to a circumstance beyond their control.
The court further connected this issue with Article 21 of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to live with dignity. Denying maintenance to a widow on a narrow technical ground can push her towards destitution and social insecurity.
The Supreme Court clearly stated that maintenance laws must be interpreted in a manner that advances social justice and protects vulnerable dependents, rather than defeating the purpose of the legislation.
The Supreme Court also explained Section 22 of the Act, which imposes a legal obligation on all heirs who inherit the property of a deceased Hindu to maintain the dependents from that inherited estate.
This means that even if the widow does not receive a share in the property, she can still claim maintenance from those who have inherited the estate of the deceased father-in-law.
The right to maintenance is independent of succession rights. It is based on dependency and the inability to maintain oneself, not on ownership of property.
This Supreme Court decision has provided clarity and protection to countless widowed daughters-in-law who were earlier denied maintenance due to misunderstandings of the law.
It also reinforces the principle that family members who inherit property also inherit responsibilities, especially towards dependents who are legally and morally entitled to support.
If you or someone you know is facing a similar situation where a widowed daughter-in-law is being denied maintenance from the father-in-law's estate, this legal position is extremely important.
Every case depends on its own facts, documents, and family structure. Proper legal advice is essential to ensure that rights are enforced correctly and effectively.
At Delhi Law Firm, we handle family law matters, maintenance cases, property disputes, and women's rights issues across India with a professional and compassionate approach.
Our focus is not only on legal representation but also on spreading legal awareness so that people understand their rights and obligations under the law.
If you require guidance or legal assistance in such matters, timely consultation can make a significant difference.
We handle cases on an all-India basis and approach every matter with seriousness, sensitivity, and legal precision.
For more information and professional legal assistance, you may visit our website.
Please visit www.delhilawfirm.news for further details and support.
Delhi Law Firm stands committed to ensuring that the law serves justice, dignity, and protection for those who need it the most.
Thank you for giving us your time. We hope this discussion has helped you understand your legal rights more clearly and confidently.